live from around the world, it's time for Peter Greenberg Worldwide with America's #1 frontline travel news journalist.
Around the world, the trip begins again. Roam if you want to, roam around the world.
Get on the phone now and call 1-888-887-3837. That's 1-888-88-PETER. And now, the man who travels over 400,000 miles each year, the travel detective, Peter Greenberg.
And welcome back to Peter Greenberg Worldwide on this first show of 2013. I hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve, the most overrated holiday of the entire planet. Assuming you survived that, then you're listening to the most underrated show on the planet. But we're going to get a lot of stuff done today. We are at 888-887-3837 if you want to call me. You can also email me to peter@petergreenberg.com. Follow me on Twitter at Peter S. Greenberg, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Peter Greenberg. And if you're wondering where we are, well then get out your maps, boys and girls. 40 degrees, 42 minutes north, 74 degrees, 0 minutes west. We're coming to you from an iconic location in an iconic city. We're coming to you from the oldest restaurant in America, Delmonico's, right here in New York City. And lots of history there, which we'll be talking about throughout the show, especially when you consider it's been around, again, since 1837. My next guest is someone who I've been a fan of for a long time. I actually discovered him. I didn't discover him, but I came upon him quite by accident when a good friend of mine said, "You got to go see this guy." And I said, "Really?" And he says, "He's a magician." Well, okay, a magician. Fine, okay, I'll go see this magician. Well, when does he perform? Well, Friday and Saturday nights. I said, on the weekends, that's the only time off. I don't want to. Well, I got dragged in to see this guy, and my eyes opened, my mouth dropped, and in the interest of full disclosure, by the time it was over, I ended up basically producing a 2-hour special on the History Channel starring this gentleman, one of the most amazing performers I've ever seen, and he performs still at another iconic location in New York, the Waldorf Astoria. His name is Stephen Cohen. Hello, Steve.
Hey, how are you, Peter?
I'm
Happy
fine.
New Year.
And Happy New Year. I mean, when we talk about, we really get down to a definition of terms, because when we talk about magicians, there's sleight of hand, there's the illusionists. I mean, we have to get down to what it is really that you're doing, because one of the things I noticed right away is when you go to see your show, you're in a relatively small environment. It's the presidential suite, which is relatively small in terms of a performing environment, at the Waldorf Astoria. You don't get a lot of people in that room because you want to make it small and intimate and up close and personal. So, I mean, I know this is radio, but I'm sitting maybe 10 feet away from you right now,
right,
which is about where I'd be sitting if I'm watching the show.
That's right. Actually, even closer. The front row in my show at the Waldorf is only about 3 feet away from where I'm standing. So we've got 50 or 60 people in the room, and everyone gets a sensational view. And I think that's part of what makes it special, is if you go to a large-scale production show like in Las Vegas,
there's a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah, you're sitting so far away from the stage, that anything could happen. There could be people backstage, rigging things. But when you're right there,
but it's just you.
There's no denying the magic is happening, because, like you said, there's just me and you, and the only thing that's between us really is just the skill and the years of training.
Well, if truth be told, and I will tell this the way exactly it happened, I sat there and I saw some of the things that you did, or maybe I didn't see some of the things that you did.
More likely.
And, well, obviously, but I would look around this room of 40 or 50 people, and we all had the same reaction. Everybody looked at each other at the same time and went, "What the?" Because I could not believe that, and I would like to describe, I can't explain it, okay, nor would I ever try to explain it, but I'd like to describe one of the tricks that you did to give everybody an idea of how bizarre and wonderful this really is.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, it's with a deck of cards. And you come out on the stage, it's in the middle of the room, and you have a little table behind you. And on the table behind you, you have 2 empty scotch glasses. Am I so far so good?
So far so good.
And you have a completely sealed deck of cards.
Right.
The cellophane is still on it, the label's still on it, the wrapping is still on it. And someone from the audience comes up, and you ask them if they can look and see if it's a sealed deck of cards. It is. You ask them to open the deck. They unpeel the cellophane. They take out the cards. They take the jokers out. You ask them to make sure they're all 52 cards on the deck.
Right, so it's unprepared cards.
Unprepared cards, exactly the way it was shipped from the card manufacturer.
Right.
So far, so good?
So far, so good.
All right. Then, we're going to get to the what the in a minute.
Yeah, because so far it's just all build-up.
No kidding. So then, you ask this person if they will shuffle the cards. right?
Right.
And then cut the cards.
Yep.
Then you ask some other people to come up at the table, and they do the same thing. They pass the cards around, they shuffle and they cut, and they shuffle, they cut, they shuffle. Then you go back to the first person and say, okay, would you please pick a card, any card that you want from the deck, and show it to the audience?
Sure.
And let's say, for the sake of this discussion, it was the 10 of diamonds, okay? So she shows me the 10 of diamonds, and everyone else goes, okay, we see it, goes back in the deck the way it was, and then the same people cut and shuffle, cut and shuffle, cut and shuffle 3 more times. Then you take the cards, and you put them standing up in that scotch glass.
That's right.
All facing the same way.
That's right.
Right? And then you take the other empty scotch glass, and you cover
the first one, so they're mouth to mouth.
Right.
In other words, there's
so you
two
covered
mouths.
the cards.
They're like the cards are now locked inside of this glass chamber made of 2 glasses.
Right. And then you ask that same person who cut the cards and who also picked that card, do you remember your card? Yes. Does the audience remember the card? Yes. Let's just watch the cards.
Oh, wait, but you left out one part.
Oh, what?
Which is I have this giant bell dome, a glass dome, which goes on top of everything. Like you put over like a famous statue or some sort of...
Okay, so now that's covering the glasses.
Like a clock, dome.
Okay.
That goes on top of everything.
Okay,
so there's
now
no chance I could touch anything.
Right, so nothing's happened here. The cards are all in the same direction, standing up in the glasses, covered with this glass dome, and then rising up from the middle of this deck of cards in the opposite direction is the 10 of diamonds.
That's right.
It rises up.
And you see it rise up right in front of your eyes. There's no denying the magic is happening right there because you see it happening.
So at that point, I'm going to therapy because I cannot figure out what has happened here. And that's the kind of... And I'm seeing it 10 feet away from me.
Thanks. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. It's called the Rising Cards. But another one that's I'm even more well known for at this point is something called Think a Drink, and this is where I have everyone in the room think of their favorite drink.
But let's set the scene again.
Okay.
You have the table behind you and a large tea kettle.
Right. I've got this silver teapot, and the silver teapot's just sitting there
with a number of different kinds of glasses: Scotch glasses, champagne glasses,
right? And
martini
they're all
glasses.
empty. They're all empty glasses.
Little tequila shot glasses, whatever. Right.
Right. And then everyone's got their. I ask everyone in the room to think of their favorite drink,
and then write it down.
They write it down this way that they can commit themselves to their favorite drink.
And put it in, and be as specific as possible.
Exactly, and they could be as specific as they like. So in other words, if they like a certain specific brand of beer, it could even be a regional beer like from South America or from China or any type of beer that they like. And then I ask someone in the audience to point out several different people, and they should just read their favorite drink aloud.
Right.
And one by one, I pick up the teapot and I pour each of those persons drinks, and they get to drink
the same
teapot, one after the next, and they drink those drinks, and they can confirm that they're all real.
Okay, so at this point, I'm being taken out on a stretcher because I cannot figure that one out.
And by the way, some of the crazy combinations I get are, for example, one person one time thought of they asked for a frozen margarita. Okay, so you can picture it, and I pour a frozen margarita straight out of the pot, and then seconds later, the next person says, I want to have a hot chocolate with mini marshmallows.
You didn't.
And so right after having poured this frozen drink, I then poured a hot drink straight out of there with mini marshmallows plunking out into the mug.
See, now that if you just ended the show with that, I would have felt okay because I could not figure that out.
That's in the middle of the show.
I know. I'm still talking about it. So that ought to tell you something.
Thanks.
I mean, that was amazing. But then what then happened is we realized that Steve is such an aficionado of the history of magic. And the derivation of some of these tricks that go back, in some cases, 200-300 years, if you think about it, that we started talking. And what ended up from that is what we're going to talk about when we come back, a little bit later in the show, about what you were able to do recreating those tricks. Steve Cohen, you'll see him at the Waldorf Astoria Fridays and Saturday nights. Back with more Peter Greenberg Worldwide right after this.
The Peter Greenberg Worldwide phone lines are open now, so call us at 1-888-887-3837. That's 1-888-88-PETER. Got a travel question or comment? Need advice? Jump on board now by calling the show at 1-888-88-PETER. That's 1-888-887-3837. Once again, here's your host, Peter Greenberg.
18 minutes after the hour, Peter Greenberg with you on this first week of the new year, coming to you from Delmonico's, America's oldest restaurant, and they're not kidding. I mean, so many things that they've done that you take for granted now, but it actually got started right here. Taking your calls at 888-887-3837. That's 888-88-PETER. And if you can't get through on the phones, you know what to do. You email me. That would be cool. You email me to peter@petergreenberg.com with your name. I want to start that. Email. Ooh, let's brand that. To peter@petergreenberg.com with your name, phone number, question, or problem. We'll solve it right here on the air. And you can also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @PeterSGreenberg, or on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Peter Greenberg. As we do every week, we like to spotlight something to do with volunteer vacations and volunteerism. And this week, we're spotlighting New York City's largest volunteer organization, New York Cares. These guys actually partner with more than 1,000, listen to this, 1,000 smaller local organizations on both long and short-term projects. And the best thing is, anybody can participate. And this month, you can help sort coats and their holiday coat drive. The coat drive assisted Hurricane Sandy relief projects, by the way, that's still going on here in New York. Still a lot of displaced people. Even though that happened at the end of October, there are a lot of people now not home because they don't have homes anymore. You get to work directly with children, seniors, and other New Yorkers in need. Just go to our website, petergreenberg.com, for more information, and tune in next week for a new spotlight. It's a new year. We were talking earlier on the show to Arnie Weisen about his predictions of what's going to happen in the year 2013. So, of course, who better to go to than our good friend Courtney Scott, the senior editor for Travelocity.com. And nice to see you again.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year again. So, I didn't get a lot of good news from Arnie, okay? Because, airfare is going up, hotel prices going up. A lot of airlines might be like consolidating and merging. We've seen a lot of that in the year 2012. We'll probably see more of it this year. Can you give me any good news?
Well, that is the reality these days. Airfares are going up. Ancillary fees are, you're paying for your baggage. You're paying for extra legroom. But, I think the silver lining is that people have more places to find deals. So social media, I think, is the silver lining here. You can go on to Twitter. You can go online. Check out where your friends have found deals on Facebook. There's so many more places to find deals these days, and people are getting more savvy and creative about where to go. Mobile apps, too. I think that's a great place to find exclusive deals that you haven't found online. So, even though prices are going up, we're not seeing as many seats available on flights, there's definitely a wider opportunity to find deals.
It's interesting. We talked about a website on the air the other day on CBS that we found called Hipmunk. And I thought these guys are really interesting because they will give you routings that you'd never in a million years expect to take. Completely contrarian. I mean, counterintuitive, right? So if you wanted to go from New York to London, that's an expensive coach airfare these days because they throw in all those extra taxes and it's crazy. I mean, getting out for under $1,000 on an airfare to London these days is about what you're going to do, right?
Sure.
They have one, New York to London, on Turkish Air. And I went, wait a second. Turkish Air doesn't fly to London. You're absolutely right. They fly to Istanbul. So it's actually a flight from New York to Istanbul with a 15-hour layover and then a flight from Istanbul to London. And the way that the flight gets in there, it gets in at 6 in the morning and then leaves at 8 o'clock at night, right? So you get in early enough to have a full day in Istanbul, which is basically a free layover, a free tour of the city, if you will. And then you fly from Istanbul to London on Turkish Air, and it's $500.
That's where, flexibility and thinking outside the box is key. If you just stick to the old kind of direct flight that you used to be able to get to London, it's not going to happen anymore. But, flexibility with the days that you're traveling, flexibility with the time that you're spending. A 15-hour layover could sound miserable, but like you said, it's a free day in a city that you've never been to. So.
All right, so now one of the things that Arnie did talk about is, and I've been talking about this for a long time, if you go back to 2005 and 2006 when the economy was booming, right, all the cruise lines figured out, okay, let's build as many new ships as we can. And they did. And that takes 3 to 4 years for them to come online. Well, they come online in 2009 at the height of the worst recession, right, with these mega ships coming online. Next thing you know, there's so much excess capacity, they had to sell those berths, right? They had to discount the you-know-what out of them, right?
Well, that's where wave season comes in. I mean, the cruise...
Explain wave season.
Sure. So wave season is, think of it as the Cyber Monday, Black Friday of the cruise industry. It's a 2-month-long flash sale starting in January through February. And it's where all the big guys come out and offer their most competitive deals of the year for cruising. So, they do it because they want to get a gauge on what the revenue will be for the year. It's better for them to fill up quickly, and then they can kind of gauge how much they're going to bump up prices throughout the rest of the year. So for the consumer, it would behoove you, if you are taking a cruise this year, to book it right now. I mean, we are seeing up to 65% off regular rates, plus all the bonuses and exciting things like
onboard credits,
onboard credits, things like that.
I saw one that was advertised for the Western Caribbean just about 3 weeks ago for $347 for a week.
Yep, I actually think I have you beat.
No, come on.
I found one just recently for $319
for a week.
Well, This is actually a 10-night transatlantic San Juan
Wait a
to
second.
Lisbon.
10 nights? That's $30 a night to go on a ship?
Inside stateroom.
Who cares?
Exactly. It's cheaper to take a cruise to get transatlantic than to jump on a flight.
You can't get on the subway in New York for $30 a day. What are you talking about?
I mean, plus 15% offshore excursions. So once you get to Lisbon.
Which cruise line is this?
This is Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas. This is right online right now at Travelocity.com/cruise super sale.
Oh, wait. So let's see if I get this straight. For 10 nights, $319. That's 2 people to the cabin.
That's per person.
So duh, for $638, pick somebody you don't even like and get them on the ship. I mean, come on. And then that's your 3 meals a day, right? Obviously no alcohol included, right?
But that's the beauty of cruising. The meals are all included, and the 15% off, shore excursions, plus cruise cash that can be used on board for all the incidentals and things like cocktails that we want to enjoy. So it's also that kind of ease of vacation that people love.
And by the way, for those people who are worried about an inside middle cabin, it's one of my favorite cabins on the ship, and I'll tell you why. How much time do you spend in your cabin? You're showering and you're sleeping, right? That's it. And for those people worried about getting seasick, everybody suddenly wants a balcony. They all want a suite. Those are the highest parts of the ship. Those are the ones that are pitching and rolling the most. If you're in an inside middle cabin, the center of gravity, you're pitching and rolling the least, and you sleep better. You actually do.
Yeah, I just spoke with Disney folks about their inside cabins, which have portholes that kind of illuminate and cause all of these magical things happening.
Oh, God,
but
no.
they're inside staterooms, so the kids love it. They have that feeling that they're outside,
right.
And they're saying that the inside rooms are selling out way faster than any of the outside rooms.
Well, I actually met a couple that actually prides itself, the husband and wife, of only booking inside middle cabins, the cheapest cabins they can find. They never spend a dime on the ship. When the ship docks in a port, they just walk the city, right? And it's cheaper for them to be on the ship than to stay home. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the way that you kind of can be creative and strategize about your particular cruise. You can definitely spend a ton of money on a cruise if you're not smart about it. But the deals right now are phenomenal. $300 to $400 is what I'm seeing on a lot of cruises.
But that ship that you're quoting, the Brilliance of the Seas, that's a positioning cruise, isn't it? Aren't they just repositioning the ship, or is that a regular cruise?
I mean, it's a one-way cruise. So.
Okay, it's a positioning ship.
Right,
okay,
exactly.
So you just got to fly over and catch the ship. Duh. So you have to actually book a flight. It's still a big deal.
Well, a flight to San Juan, Puerto Rico is not that.
Oh no, it's not bad at all.
Bad, right?
Wow.
Yeah, another great deal. A 4-night Galveston round trip. So Galveston is a newer port. Obviously, Disney realized that there's a lot of people out of Texas that want to take a Disney cruise, but they're not going to Florida to get out. And $480 on the Disney Magic for a 4-night sail. Kids sail free. I mean, that's...
On a Disney cruise? That's all who's sailing anyway. What are you talking about?
Exactly, and Disney's historically one of the more expensive.
Now, with all due respect to my friends in Galveston, I would go to Galveston just to get out of Galveston. I'm sorry. And if anybody wants to get mad at me and call in and tell me how great your city is, you go ahead and do that. I'm telling you, I've never seen an uglier beach in my life, but it is a port city, right? And you know what? Get down there, get to Galveston, leave Galveston, and get out in the water. That's great. So the deals are there.
Deals are hot right now.
But what about airlines? Not so good.
Not so great. I mean, we saw about a 9% increase for this holiday travel and into the new year. So I don't expect to see any kind of change in that. Capacity issues continue to be a problem. We're not seeing any, rows empty anymore.
Nothing. I know. So the thing is, if you can figure out a way to get to a port city, right? Walk, hike, take the train, right? Train's pretty good too. Then you get the great deals.
And these mobile apps, they're helping you become such an informed traveler more than ever before. I think mobile travel and mobile bookings will continue to be a trend in 2013.
You got it. Courtney Scott, the senior editor for Travelocity.com. Always happy to see you. And, if kids sail free on a Disney ship and you can take the kids out of school for a week and get extra credit assignment from the teacher, that's the time to do it.
That's right.
That's the time to go. We'll be back with more Peter Greenberg Worldwide from Delmonico's right after this.
To participate in the program and speak with Peter Greenberg, call 1-888-887-3837 or visit petergreenberg.com. The Peter Greenberg Worldwide phone lines are open now. So call us at 1-888-887-3837. That's 1-888-88-PETER. Once again, here's your host, Peter Greenberg.
It's 33 minutes after the hour. Peter Greenberg here with you on this first show of 2013, coming to you from Delmonico's, America's oldest restaurant. That's not just a brand, it's a fact. Opened in 1837. Taking your calls at 888-887-3837. That's 888-88-PETER. If you can't get through on the phones, you know the drill. You email me to peter@petergreenberg.com with your name, phone number, question, or problem. We'll solve it right here on the air. In fact, our next segment, we're going to deal right with those emails, and a lot of them from you, and some real interesting ones as well. When we talk about an iconic restaurant, and you add to that family-owned, it's quite a legend when you think about the fact that this restaurant goes back to 1837. And earlier in the show, we were talking to Billy Oliva, the executive chef, who talked about all the firsts. I mean, whether it was the lobster Newburgh or the eggs Benedict or the of course the Delmonico steak, and then of course baked Alaska. Who would ever have thought baked Alaska would have started in this restaurant? It's amazing. And so joining me now to give me a little bit more of the history of this place, because it's got a lot of history, and it's amazing to me, by the way. First of all, let me introduce you. Then I'm going to tell you what's amazing to me. It's Dennis Tersinovic, who's the managing partner of Delmonico's. But here's my question to you, Dennis. So far on this show today, right? Every guest on this show, I've said to them, and they're all in New York. They all live here in New York, right?
Yes.
Have you been to Delmonico's? No.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how many people in New York have been to the Statue of Liberty?
Not
many, right? And yet, you pass it, you see it all the time. You can't fly to LaGuardia without going up the Hudson River and seeing the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
If you're on Wall Street, you're going to pass this restaurant.
You definitely will, yes.
So, how do you stay in business? Do you have a core group of customers that have come in year after year?
We do get the Wall Street, the brokers, the Wall Street crowd that come in for lunch. And
now, if the market drops, do they order differently?
No, not really, because
they order desperately.
Well, we do a lot of we have a lot of the insurance crowd in the neighborhood. There are different businesses here: construction, insurance, finance. So it really all depends. So we get a mix.
But can you actually gauge? I mean, honestly, I had to ask: can you gauge the market about how the economy is going by what they're ordering? You have to be able to do that.
I could,
based on the alcohol of that.
We can, yes, we can. What happens sometimes is it's if the market is really bad, sometimes it's really crazy because people come and drown their sorrows at our bar here. So. In the booth, so it really all depends. And sometimes when the market is really good, it could be really quiet. It really depends.
But can you think of some of those milestone dates like October of '87, or when the market drops and then they have to suspend trading, or 2009? Something where you open the door and your maitre d' said, "Uh-oh." Yes,
you know what? It is a roller coaster ride for us, and it's been since Delmonico's first started in the early 1800s. We went through fires and Great Depressions and 9/11, and ups and downs in the economy, and we're still here. And what makes Delmonico special from every other place is it's so iconic and so famous that just people tend to flock to it when the time is right, when they have a couple extra dollars. So we do see the tourists, we do see the Bridge and Tunnel crowd come in as well. So it all
Wait
depends.
a minute, not the Bridge and Tunnel crowd.
Yeah, of course they come in.
You let them in?
We let them. We have to.
You have to. Making friends everywhere on this show.
Exactly,
okay.
yes.
Well, when the tourists come in, do they all order the steak because they know about the steak?
Everybody typically eats Delmonico steak. I would say, we named the steak back in the 1800s. Actually, we created the term 86 that's in most of these restaurants.
I didn't. Now I love 86.
Okay, so the term.
So basically, the Bridge and Tunnel crowd is the borderline getting 86.
Exactly. They're going to be exactly.
For those people who have never heard the term 86, that means when you get your you-know-what thrown out of the restaurant.
When you run out of something, or you throw somebody out, 86 him, or that's 86th. The Delmonico steak there was a 200 menu item, item menu, and the 86th item was Delmonico steak, and it was so popular at the time, the demand was so high that they always ran out of it, so they always say it was 86th, so which the term comes from here. So
interesting. Okay, so what do you run out the most here?
We don't run out of the Delmonico steak here.
Not anymore.
Typically we run out of fish because we order
everything daily.
Daily, and whenever we run out of it, we only keep the freshest product in. So,
is there one item that you've had on the menu that you finally said enough is enough? We're 86ing it forever.
We've had some items that are really tough to work with.
Like?
The chicken a la king is a really tough dish to make.
Yeah, Billy was telling me that, right?
Yeah, we ended up, not that we 86'd it forever, but it's really hard to recreate.
It's on vacation.
It's on vacation for a while.
Yeah.
It'll come back.
And is there one item that people are always surprised that's on the menu? I was surprised, quite frankly, to learn about baked Alaska.
When people sit down, they're like, "Wow, they invented Eggs Benedict, baked Alaska, lobster Newburg." Even when we had Regis Philbin here, he was in the neighborhood, so he just popped in for a quick bite to eat, and he's like, "I can't believe it." And the next morning, he was just like, "It's the first restaurant in America, the first,
Are you doing your Regis Philbin impression? You just did. You just did. You almost did. You almost did. Yeah.
So some people don't know. They get caught up. They're like, "Wow, this is the place where it was all created." So.
And yet you just had to survive Hurricane Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy was tough, very, very tough.
You got flooded out.
We got flooded out. Our lower level got about 5 feet, but we turned it over within 2 weeks. So
that's miraculous.
It's amazing. Just in time for the holiday season. We told all of our customers we'll be ready to go, so they'd come inspect the place, and the place looks beautiful, just as it was before.
It's amazing. I mean, since 1837, that's the thing that always amazes me. A lot of people, you see restaurant signs since 1975. Forget it. But 1837, that makes you pay attention.
It does, yeah.
Wow.
We get a ton of these tour groups that come by, and they're always talking about the restaurant. I mean, just such good promotion for us, so.
It's not bad. Yeah. So you let the Bridge and Tunnel crowd still come in?
We do.
Okay, I won't tell anybody. Your secret's safe with me. Dennis Trusinovic, the managing partner of Delmonico's. And I'm telling you, it's always fun to be down here, especially when you learn the history. Back with more of Peter Greenberg Worldwide right after this.
Call now to talk to Peter Greenberg at 1-888-887-3837 or email him at peter@petergreenberg.com. This segment of Peter Greenberg Worldwide is proudly brought to you by
Travel Guard Insurance. For travel insurance plans for the unexpected, see your travel agent or visit TravelGuard.com for affordable travel insurance protection from Travel Guard.
Now back to Peter Greenberg.
Welcome back. 43 minutes after the hour. Peter Greenberg here with you from Delmonico's restaurant here in New York. Time to get to your emails, and we got a lot of them. Here's one from Jim in Seattle, Washington. On a recent CBS show, you made a remark regarding frequent flyer miles and that we should use all of our points now. So that begs a question. I average 100,000 miles a year in the air, and while I use my points, I still have over 150,000 in reserve. Should I use them up? Yes! Here's the reason. If you're dealing with airlines that are just shrinking capacity and then dealing with airlines that are going out of business or merging or consolidating, the basic math means that you have more people competing for fewer seats in terms of even revenue seats. What do you think that means in terms of free seats? And there's no such thing as a free seat when you figure out how much it costs you to actually earn those miles. But forgetting that, you have 100,000 miles a year that you're earning, another 150,000 in reserve. The airlines are never going to get rid of the frequent flyer programs because the bottom line math on this is that the airlines earn more money operating the frequent flyer programs than they actually earn operating the airline. Now, as absurd as that sounds, it's true. And the reason for that is the airlines print the currency, and then they control the redemption. And if they keep the redemption levels under 10%, that's a 90% return on their investment. The Sopranos didn't even have that. So the bottom line here is, while they're never going to cancel the programs, they're going to redefine them. And they're going to go from, and this is a little bit of a sad statement because it's not the reason why you join the program, at least it's not the reason why I join those programs. They're going to basically redefine them from going from a frequent flyer ticket award program to a frequent flyer lifestyle award program, meaning that when you get a certain number of mileage categories or levels, they'll give you a magazine subscription or a box of chocolates or a toaster, anything other than that ticket. And out of desperation or frustration, you might just take the toaster when, in fact, you didn't want a toaster. But that's all you were going to get because you couldn't redeem them for the ticket. So, look, right now, let's do the math. You had 8 legacy carriers in this country, and now we're down to 4. We may be down to even 3. There's no reason to even have a loyalty program because there's no competition. The only reason to have a loyalty program is because we're still addicted to it. And we still want to earn the miles. The problem is, how do we redeem those miles? And the airlines are making it tougher and tougher. So the only thing I can tell you is Jim, you earn nothing, you save nothing by holding on to those miles. I don't trust the airlines as airlines. Why would I trust them as banks? So get rid of those miles. And the way you do it is another counterintuitive thing to do. don't pick destinations that you've always wanted to go to, because chances are everybody's picking the exact same destinations. I've always wanted to go to France, London, Rome, Hawaii. No. Pick places you've never been, that would never even be on your list, and redeem tickets there. And I'm not talking about Armpit, Kansas, but you know what? I think Beaumont, Texas might be a good idea. I think a place in Salvador might be a good idea, as opposed to just a traditional, mature Western European destinations that everybody's competing for, and you're not going to get the tickets anyway. At least you get to go somewhere other than sitting looking at those mileage points, just sitting there and rotting. And if you want to use mileage points for upgrades, keep in mind that's not the most efficient way to do it, simply because you've spent so much money to get them. What you just want is a seat. Any seat you can get on a plane going anywhere you've never been. That's the philosophy of redeeming frequent flyer miles in the year 2013. And I hope you do it. I'm not just going to tell you to think about it. I'm going to tell you go do it. Because if you don't, then you take all your frequent flyer miles, go to an art supply store, get a picture frame, and hang them on the wall, because that's where they're going to be. And if you do the math on that toaster they want to give you for 6,000 miles, if you really do the math and you realize that 54% of all mileage earned is earned on the ground with credit card purchases where you get 1 mile per dollar spent, that means you just bought a $3,200 toaster. I mean, do you really? I mean, is it gold-plated? Does it give you platinum toast? I don't think so. Same thing with a box of chocolates. You know, we did that math. It's the most absurd math in the world. For 6,500 miles, one airline wants to redeem you with a box of Godiva chocolates. Now, that box of Godiva chocolates retails for $40. There are 18 pieces of chocolate in that box. You just spent $4,000 for the box of chocolates. Divide 18 into 4,000. Enjoy your bonbons. Oh, my God. So, look, you can still get the tickets, but not for the places you think you want. This is not about Hawaii. It's not about London, Paris, or Rome. It's about other places you've never been that are not on your list, where you can actually go and have a great time, not get hosed, have great service, have a great experience, and actually redeem your miles for the purpose they were originally earned for flights. Okay? And otherwise, you know, you're out of luck. Anyway, that's my answer, Jim. I'm sorry it's not the news you wanted, but you asked, should you redeem them now? The answer is yes. And when we come back, we're going to talk to our good friend, Michaela Guzzi, who just came back from Peru, and some interesting volunteer vacation opportunities. Back with more of Peter Greenberg Worldwide from Delmonico's in New York, right after this.
The Peter Greenberg Worldwide phone lines are open now, so call us at 1-888-88-PETER. That's 1-888-887-3837. To participate in the program and speak with Peter Greenberg, call 1-888-887-3837 or visit petergreenberg.com. Now back to Peter Greenberg Worldwide.
52 minutes after the hour, Peter Greenberg here with you from the legendary Delmonico's restaurant here, America's oldest restaurant in New York City, taking your calls at 888-887-3837. That's 888-88-PETER. And if you can't get through on the phones, you know the drill. You email me to peter@petergreenberg.com with your name, phone number, question, or problem. We'll solve it right here on the air. My next guest, someone we never usually see in person. She's usually calling from the top of Machu Picchu or somewhere in the wilds of Africa. She's the founder of ohthepeopleYouMeet.com, our good friend, Michaela Guzzi. Hey, Michaela.
Hi, Peter. Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you on this first show of the new year. So I can always ask you, where have you been?
Well, actually, most recently, Peru.
Yeah.
It was an amazing trip, such diverse landscape, culture, food, and we actually visited 4 different philanthropy projects, which were pretty touching.
That's very cool. But the thing is, obviously, first time in Peru for you?
First, yeah.
All right, so of course you did Cusco and you did Machu Picchu. You had to, right?
Of course.
Did you take the train or did you hike?
Train and hike. We did it 2 different days.
Yeah. For those people who've never done this, who you know, be careful about your own level of physical ability. That is quite the hike if you're going to hike it.
Well, it's not just the hike.
It's the altitude. I know.
So, I mean, I took drugs. Prescription. But I took drugs. It helps.
So basically, you were heavily sedated all the way up.
Kind of, yeah.
Do you remember any of it?
Yeah, it was amazing. And actually, we have a video that went live on your website
Correct.
just before the holidays, which showed some of our hike up Machu Picchu. So,
Well, tell me about the philanthropy organizations, because I know that's very big for you.
Well, there was 4 different projects that we saw: a women's co-op, an educational center, a medical facility, which was kind of a bizarre therapy I'd never heard of, but very interesting and does some great work. And then we also saw a wildlife project.
All right, well, let's talk about the medical facility. I want to hear about that.
So it's a project called Hippotherapy by a company called Anandazi. So I had never heard of hippotherapy before, and the long and short of it is they actually use horses to help rehabilitate children who have Down syndrome, autism, some kind of handicap.
They put them on the horses.
Correct. And they'll actually ride with them so that they start to become more comfortable, both around people but with movement. And it's really interesting. They work with anywhere from 10 to 15 children per week.
And the kids' feeling of accomplishment's got to be over the top.
It's really, really touching to see. And actually, we did some recording of the philanthropy project, and we're hoping to share some of that video with you later on this month.
And can anybody get involved? I mean, you went down there to report on it, but can people get involved and actually work with the horses as well?
Of course. And what's really, really nice, they threw me up on the horse. I'm actually not very talented on the horseback, but it was
So
really
you survived
good.
the horse.
I survived the horse, and it was good to talk to the therapist and find out how it works. You feel the horses, the Peruvian Paso horse actually keeps all 3 feet on the ground.
I've ridden those horses. They ride differently than any other horse you've ever seen. And if you look at the video of how they ride, it's a different sort of like synchronized riding.
Yeah, no, they're very, very smooth. You don't have that kind of up and down. You're a little less sore when you get off the horse.
You're a little less hop-along.
Yes, exactly. And they're also known, the Peruvian Paso horses, for being able to dance the national dance La Marinera. Very interesting.
Well, that's the only reason why I'd ever get on the horse, if it knew how to dance my special dance. Oh, my God.
It's very interesting.
All right, but we have all that information on our website about how people can get involved in hippotherapy, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
Next.
And then we also saw the Akobia Manatee Orphan Rescue Center. So manatees in the Amazon are actually endangered species, and unfortunately, Amazon water levels are reducing by 70 to 80% by 2030. So the Akobia Rescue Center is.
Did you say 70 to 80%?
By 2030. Those are the projections. Yeah.
That's not good.
No. So, I mean, among having many threats and hunting being the manatee's greatest one to present date, this is a real problem for all of us because that's such a huge ecosystem.
Okay, now it's one thing to say you visited that, but how did you get involved?
I went with Aqua Expeditions, which is a small little cruise company.
They have an amazing ship down there. I mean,
actually.
I've seen the first one. They do an unbelievable job because they go down rivers that you don't even know existed.
Exactly. And you wake up every morning and you're in a different place. Their team is so intelligent, so knowledgeable. They really work with you to find out what you want to see. If you're an animal adventurist, if you want to go and do special hikes, if you want to go visit local schools or
this is also
villages.
In Peru.
Yeah, all along the Amazon and with Aqua Expeditions. And I obviously said I was very interested in philanthropy. So this Manatee Rescue Center was one of the things that we visited.
Very cool. And anybody can do that.
Anyone can do it.
See, that's the cool part.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you ever go into Ecuador, go down the river there, the Napo River, which the people don't realize that's a tributary to the Amazon as well. They let you go swimming with the piranha. And you go, excuse me? And then you find out there are like 53 I'm probably wrong. I think there are 93 different species of piranha.
Yes.
And you want the one that likes people.
Right,
right. And then if you get that one, go swimming.
Well, by the way, they all like people.
Yeah.
They will bite you. Not all of them, all of the species, and they're all terrifying. I went fishing for them. You could not pay me money to jump in the same water with them. No chance.
No chance. I got you. And then the third one?
Third one, we actually went and visited a school called in Cusamayo, which is just along Lake Titicaca, which was also my first visit up there in Peru. And super, super high altitude, speaking very, very slow up there. But they opened their first kindergarten this year, and then by 2013, they're actually projected to actually help 30,000 kids along the lake. That
is really cool stuff. All that information you can find on our website, including Michaela's video. Of course, Michaela, the founder of ohthepeopleYouMeet.com. Thank you again. That music means we're out of time for this hour. Those stations leaving us, have a great rest of your weekend. Those stations sticking around. We got a whole lot more coming from Delmonico's Restaurant right here in New York. Back right after this.
You've been listening to Peter Greenberg Worldwide. Visit our website at www.petergreenberg.com.